Yo, what up, guys? Welcome to Faded Town, the number one Pokemon podcast in the world. These are facts. Look that shit up in a library. Pokestats, that shit. Whatever you gotta do, Google it. Those are the facts. We're the number one Pokemon podcast in the world. As always, dude, we got the best guests ever. Um, he won his first regional this weekend, guys. He fucking this year he's been killing it. He killed it last year at NAIC with fucking some outlandish deck. Him and his crew now, who've been taking over pretty much. Cutter Tap. They went on record. Or I think Finnegan, our last guest, Finnegan, he went on lines like, "Let it be known, this is the crew now." But we got Hunter Butler with us, dude. The fucking
How's it going, man?
The myth, the legend right here. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Not bad, man. How's your day going?
Today I just had class, so I just had humanities and I had math today, and then I ate some lunch, and I've just been chilling at home. Me and Finn had a nice. We usually have a conference call, a team one, when a new set comes out. We start giving jobs to each player as to which deck to work on. And so me and Finn had kind of our pre-call where we just talked about what we thought was good, where we were going to start, and then probably have that big phone call sometime this weekend or Monday. Start grinding into the stuff.
That's actually dope. Like, he didn't jump into exactly how you guys get down, but because like you guys are a lot of you guys are all over, right? He's in Cali.
Yeah, so there's only two of us East Coast, and that's me and Mike Morton. And Mike Morton's only a short 3 hours from me. I actually go and see him. I do League Cups, League Challenges in Georgia, which are actually closer for me than doing any of the Orlando, Florida stuff. So I actually do a lot of stuff in Georgia, and then the rest of the guys are all in Cali. So we do a lot of phone calls, a lot of Skyping, a lot of, obviously as anybody else, a lot of PTCGO. But to try and keep our testing, in check. Phone calls is a good resource we use. I'm sure a lot of other Pokemon players use that as well.
But like, to be honest, like, you guys are like, I talked with Finn, and that whole DDG wave that hit last year, and then Finn's like, "Hey, I'm putting a fucking team together. We're gonna compete." And like, I'd have to say, you guys by far are doing like the best as like a group of people. I mean, you got the lab that started too.
Yeah.
With Bacardi in them, which is great.
Yeah, the lab is sick. Bakari, Jenkins, Bradner, Catrone, Joey. I like the lab guys a lot.
I like the way people are going about it. Like, I feel like last year or the years before, like, you had a bunch of players. Like, sure, you work together or whatever, but now it's got real like tight, where like you got 6 really good players. They're gonna work on something really good and show it off. Then you have these 6 players that are gonna do it, and then you have them. And like, I think that brings out the most potential in the game. Period. Like, it's one thing to work on your own, but when you got 6 minds that are like top players, you come up with decks like you had this weekend, which was
and that's
insane.
And that's a big thing that I think teams were lacking in the beginning of when teams started. It started with just, here's a big group of players that might necessarily not get along together, but we can all agree that we want to get paid.
Correct.
So we're all going to work together. And then throughout the process of teams getting deleted or teams getting excluded, and then having the little, as far as the Pokemon community drama between, this member doesn't like this member, so we're kicking this guy, and we want this guy now, and this guy fits us. Ours was a lot more organic, and it kind of started, and it actually, what's funny enough, it actually stemmed from one of those situations at Pro Play when me and Danny and Finn were on the same team together. I was a little bit more up and coming. Danny was starting to solidify himself as like top 5. Yeah. Finn was still like doing very well. And then, I loved my other teammates, but I wasn't testing with Ryan Allred and Ahmed Ali every weekend. I was testing with Finn and Danny.
Right.
So when Danny went to DDG, and me and Finn had left Pro Play because we were done with that, we wanted to do our own thing. It was basically just Finn was Cutter Tap, the website, and then me and Finn still tested together. Before DDG happened, me and Danny were still testing together. So all 3 of us were still in a loop. And then once Finn was like, yo, I really want to really want a bigger group of guys. I know it's us too, but I want to, I want more brains, more legwork, more
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And that's where Carter, Hale, Joe, Mike, and Cameron Chinoy at one point all came from guys that we liked, guys that we thought were either up and coming or already veterans. Like Joe has so many accomplishments,
Right.
regional wins, regional top fours, regional top eights. All Joe's littered with
Yeah.
accomplishments,
I
and
think like
so
Carter's super coming up. Like
6 day twos in his first year
yeah,
competitive.
that's what I was saying. I'm like, when you look at someone like Carter who didn't have a name, like I knew him because I do League Cups in Cali,
Yeah,
so I know Carter. Like we
right.
played multiple times. I know he's good. Like when I sit across from him, I know I'm getting a good game. And but then he comes to the season and just boom, boom, boom. I'm like, you could just see when you see one player that he's good, but he just really hasn't done anything. Then he gets put into a group of people that is just great players, and they all work together. And what the outcome comes from, there's no denying that the what you guys do or that scenario is right. Like
Right.
more people need to do that.
And also another thing to point out is actually, and Carl did this too. When Carl started, Finn was Carl's first
Yep.
coach,
Yep.
and Finn was Carter's first coach, and Carter does coaching now. But when Finn started coaching him, me and Finn were very much still involved. I was doing my own coaching, and he had told me, he was like, "Man, I met this guy. He's picking it up so quickly. He's picking everything up because he came from Magic, so that was already he had
Yes.
a solid card game foundation of resources and time management and stuff that somebody who just comes into a card game, any card game, doesn't have yet. So he already had a good basis. It was just figuring out how Pokemon worked was what he needed, and he's been a great asset. He does a lot of great testing. He has a lot of great ideas, and he's definitely also. And what I like to have is I like to have an honest opinion. If my idea sucks, I want you to poke holes in it. I want you to shoot it down. I don't want to
I
just
agree.
every idea that comes out of anybody's mouth. Yeah, we're gonna full send this because we don't have time to full send every idea. We have to full send what's important.
Right. I
So
think
it's
I think I'm having that issue right now. Is that I don't have that group around me that will tell me your shit sucks. Like it's not that good. Like I have a group that's like they look at me and they go, "What are we playing?" Or like, "What are you playing?" And I'm like, "This is what I'm gonna play." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And like, a PTCGO is my friend. That's all I got.
right,
But like,
absolutely.
I think a lot of people are stuck in that area, and it all comes down to the people around you. And I think eventually, I'll get that group because like, I think to be a top player, it's almost stupid not to find a group of people and work with them because
Right, and I think that goes for anything in life too. Is
yeah,
like when as far as I can apply this to school, when I'm looking for a job, I want to be around people that are doing good at what the job that I want to be doing is. So if
right,
they're doing good, I want to surround myself with those people so that I can potentially get that job or I can do better at my job.
yes,
No matter what you're trying to do. Same with when you're working and you want to make more money. You want to be friendly with the managers, the people who are doing good at that job, the people
right,
who are gonna help you succeed. So I think that stands the test of time in anything, but especially Pokemon, where the internet is now a part of it, which it wasn't back in the day.
right,
Now, more than ever, with the amount of information, it's nice to have more sets of eyes on the information that's going
right.
around.
I think because like we talked about it before we kind of started, but you won this last regional, and then you go on this media tour. You've hit Chip's channel, you've hit the Super Oddcast, and like I think that's so huge for the game. Like to get people more noticeable in the community. Like there's like we had Justin McCarty on here, and he's killed it, and I'm like,
Oh,
but how
he's
many
killed
people
it.
know you? And it's not big because it's just we don't have the outlets that we have now. And like when you start hitting this, like I think it's just so good for the game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to shout out Bakari, number one, what a
Right.
consistent player. 40 something day
Yes.
twos, a
Yes.
win, so many ninth. I don't even know how many ninth
It's
places, so
crazy.
many bubbles. He's so consistent. I've actually
Right.
had the chance of playing Justin Bakari. I played him at Greensboro Regional where I got top 16, and we had a really, really close set between Zorogarb and Archie's. And I consider that match to be a very solid on the 50-50 border. It really comes down to
Yes.
how you play
Especially
it.
in that meta that you guys played it in.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Especially in that meta before there was Mewtwo and all this
Yeah.
other
Oh, and
nonsense.
also before, like, when there wasn't like a towering splash, like that matchup's
Right.
but Garb was really good at that matchup, and then towering
Exactly,
splash came and it was
exactly.
like, all right, guys, now we got a super answer to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we have a chance. So,
Oh,
and he played amazing, and I'm honestly a fan of him. He's a really clean player. You've
right.
never heard anything bad about him. A great guy,
Yeah.
and definitely very, very consistent. And
Yeah.
he just also has been long deserving of a regional win, way
Yes.
overdue.
Yes. That's what that like when I had him on. That's what we were talking about. I'm like the players that play this game know you. Like when I posted online that he's like the most underrated player in the game. Um, I got a lot of backlash. And like I see the backlash just because I get it from players that play this game so much. But when I talk to my local people that they play it every day, but they don't go to regionals and stuff. They don't know who Justin Picard is. But
Right. And I doubt half the community knows that he has 40
exactly,
A2s. I doubt that,
yeah, and
you know?
that's what I'm saying. And then with like the internet now, I think we can turn people that do well in this game into bigger names than just I'm gonna hide in the shadows and be the ninja fucking star that I really am.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
Xander
The
when he was
silent
like
killer.
15, he got third at Worlds. I'm like, how does not everyone in the world know this? Like he's a monster,
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with
right?
that.
But let's get back to you. So let's jump to how did you even start playing this game, and when did you start
Okay,
playing?
so I started playing the 2000 or 2007 2008 season.
Okay,
So I wasn't competitive, obviously. This is me just finding out about the cards.
all right,
And my grandmother, we were going Christmas shopping. I was very young. I was like 10 or 11. And we were going Christmas shopping. She was my caretaker at the time. And in the league, there was a league in the middle of the mall. And I was not real social. And but I loved Pokemon, like the video game, the show, the idea of Pokemon. I love Pokemon, but didn't know anything about the cards or that the you actually could battle with them. It
right,
wasn't just about trading.
yeah, collecting.
So that's where I started. And I started going there every weekend. My grandma would drag me to it because she wanted me to make friends and be more social. So she
That's a
would
good
drag me to
grandma.
it. Oh yeah,
That's
God
great.
bless her. Without her, there would be I could go on hours about the things my grandmother has
Right.
done for me in my lifetime. But she kept dragging me there, and she actually found a friend. I don't know if you've heard of Renee Curley. She
That sounds so
or Curry
familiar.
Renee Curry. Yeah, she organizes with Yeti Gaming. She does all the uh, Florida regionals, and she's done a bunch of Florida states. She was her and her husband. This is escaping me. Randy. How can I forget Randy? I love you, Randy. Shout out, Randy. Randy and Renee have been played a big part in my Pokemon career and ended up being great friends with my grandmother, along with Katie Schmidt. I'm sure you've met Katie or
Yeah,
Martin Schmidt. They're
I'm
great
pretty sure.
judges. So shout out to them. And I just became part of the Pokemon family, and I really understood like what it was like to travel and go places and have friends that like the same things that you like and did the same things that you like to do. And it was outside of school.
Right.
And it became just like it became my hobby. It became my and I think it became my first real hobby, like something that I did consistently besides sports. I love sports, but sports aren't all year round. Pokemon
Right.
is.
Yeah, that's one thing people don't talk about either when you say that it's so. Do you wish there was a downtime in Pokemon? Because
Absolutely.
right, I feel like see just off my top of my head, I cannot think like who won Worlds. It was the Australian
Henry Brand.
Henry Brand. Yes, like I feel like he wins Worlds, and then it's like 2 weeks later, we're like someone wins a regional, and it's like it's so. I feel like it's underwhelming. I wish that we had that. Like, give us like 3 months or something of like,
Chill.
hey, Henry Brand's the man right now. He just won Worlds. He's the best player, but I don't know. It also it's like you'd have to change so much stuff, but it'd be dope.
Right. And that plays a big part in my story as a how I came up playing Pokemon because of not having a break. I only played 3 out of 4 months out of every year up until this is actually the longest I've played a full year of Pokemon. I've played start to finish this year, and we're now in January, and I've played all the way from Atlantic City, which was the first one,
Yeah, which was
all the way to now.
September.
So this is the longest I've ever played in
Damn.
a string. So normally, because of high school, high
Nice.
school sports, middle school, the back half of my elementary, my other extracurricular activities, uh, stuff like that. Also having to be like, I'm in high school, I don't want to be a lame Pokemon player. So it was like a
That's
year
definitely
where I
a
just
thing.
right, absolutely. When you're learning like, oh, nobody's gonna like me because of this. But then
Right.
after all of it, you learn that nobody cares. I'm in college and I tell
Exactly.
people I play Pokemon, and they're like, "Oh my god, you make money
That's
playing
dope.
Pokemon? That's
Yeah.
insane!
People always think
What
it's dope.
Pokemon is awesome." I've never heard like one bad thing, about it.
Never. I
But in
think.
high school, you're self conscious, like I can't let
Right.
anybody know I play in
I think the
children's cards.
culture now is so like nerdy that it's like
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with like the 2000s and the back half of the
Hmm.
2010s. Is like being nerdy is cool now. It's not cool to be an outcast and be bad at school. Now it's
Nope.
cool to have the good grades and get a good job and all that.
Exactly. Like
So I think that's a cultural shift we're having.
which is pretty
Especially
dope.
with the internet age being an awesome thing.
Right. So you go, you start going this. When do you is like decide I'm gonna go for invites? Is that
Okay, so 2007-8 was definitely no invites,
correct?
just fun. No, I didn't even go to Florida States.
Right.
And then SPs came out back half of 2009, 2010 era, when 2009 was starting. And then this was when I was starting to really get interested in it. And I'm like, hey, grandma, I want to go to nationals this year. I want to go to Florida. I usually went to the Florida cities. I did a lot of cities. I was a cities animal. I did that way more than regionals. I love cities.
Right.
So I did a lot of that. And then 2009 Florida States, I was able to get top four with a Honcho deck that Aaron Curry and Steven Silvestro, the 2009 world champion, had actually come up with. And his father, rest in peace to him, he was a great friend of mine, John, and also helped me grow as a Pokemon player. So without him, I definitely would not be as much as I am today, or the love for the game. And so that was my first big accomplishment in seniors. And then 2010 was when Lux Chomp was. So the following year, I was able to get top 64 at Nats and seniors, coming in at 63rd seed. And the way it worked was you played your Swiss rounds, which were best of one, by the way. You didn't play best of three. And they would cut to 64 and then be uh, single elimination, best of three. But 64th place plays first place, 63rd place,
Yeah.
second place, all the way like that. So I'm 63rd playing the second seed guy.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of money at this time growing up, so I couldn't afford Lux Chomp at the time. Thank goodness to Japanese cards being allowed to be played because you could
It's a
afford a
lot
$5
cheaper.
Lux
Yeah.
Chomp. Yep. And I ended up playing a Machamp Kingdra deck, and I ended up losing. So I got whatever it was, third. It was in the top 64, like in the
Yeah.
low 50s at Nats. So I already had seen some success in seniors, which was a lot easier than
Right.
Masters. But my first real big Masters accomplishment was I got a top 8 at Florida States in 2016 season with a Night March Vespa list with 3 Hex Maniac. And that
Okay.
was the first big thing in my Masters division. I
Right.
was 16 or 17 years old. So it was like my first or second year as a master.
All right. Because I mean, I have your limitless up here, and
But obviously, Limitless doesn't go that.
yeah, it
Nobody
doesn't go
has
that
the
far back.
archives for
Yeah,
that stuff.
that's all I can ever
Yeah,
see is
definitely.
like I look at people's limitless, but then they're like, I've been playing since base set. I'm like, well, if I don't know that you won a regional in 2003, I'm sorry.
That's one of the
But
biggest. That's one of the biggest problems with I think Pokemon was nobody really was sitting there
no,
documenting
no
everything like we
archive.
are now. And shout out to Pokestats,
Yeah,
Limitless, Liquidation, what Liquipedia, whatever
yeah.
anything that
That's
records
starting doing it.
anything. You
Yeah,
guys are doing a great thing. I know that nobody's paying you to do it, but just know that you're helping for future
100%. I
generations.
think like limitless is insane to be
I
honest.
love Limitless.
I love it.
I'm great friends with Pedro. He's a really
That's my
he's a super
homie.
nice guy. That's my homie.
Yeah.
And Robin ended up beating me to get into top 8 of worlds and then win. So shout out to him. So I've met him a couple times. I've
Right.
had the opportunity of drinking some alcohol with these boys and getting pretty drunk in the bar. And They've been known to come to my house Airbnb parties. Don't tell Airbnb that, but we throw big parties.
Yeah,
So
they don't
they've
watch
always been
this.
a good time, and I've enjoyed partying with all the European
That's
dudes.
what's up. So in 2000, so we hit the money era. What, like 2016?
Yes. Yes, I believe so.
So
Well, there was always scholarships. I don't know if a
yes,
lot of people know this, but like the lore is it used to be scholarships, and if you tried to take it out in cash, you'd get the bond, you would get the savings bond or whatever that you could get when you're 18. If you weren't 18, this is how you acquired your money in Pokemon,
right.
and it was significantly less. And I actually, this benefited me because me getting top four at states, I've gotten two regional top 8s, I think, as a senior. You know, stuff like that. 64 at Nats. That stuff helped me pay for my college. It went into my grandparents
That's
took
great.
that money and put it in my college fund. In the young bank account. Like I said, she was my caregiver, so she was just like my parent, putting away money for school, and that's helped me pay for my school that I have now. So Pokemon has really been
That's
a
what's up.
huge portion of my life, a hobby, paying for school, allowing me to travel, allowing me to make friends, allowing me to be more social,
That's what's
stuff
up.
like that. Help with my anxiety, being able to talk with people, all sorts of stuff.
Right. I think people take that for granted when it comes to the game. A lot of people are like win or bust, and like
Right.
when you talk about how much this game has done for you outside of like winning, it's really something that people take for granted. Like when you do go to a regional and you do bad, like you gotta look around you and go, you know what? We're all here to have fun, and like
The trees.
this is the best.
One of my favorite quotes is like, "You can't see through the trees," and I think a lot of times when the forest is thick and you go 0-3 drop and you're thinking about all the money you wasted, it's kind of a half glass empty mentality, or I can't really see the big picture here. I'm getting a chance to spend some time with my friends. I'm getting a chance to eat good food, go to a place that maybe I've never been before, get the chance to
Hundred
make a new
percent.
experience. And that's what Dallas was, for me originally. I had booked the ticket a while ago. I had already gotten my invite before Dallas. So I wasn't like super needing to go. I was just like, I'm going to one last ride, go chill with the boys, just have a good time, play a good deck, and then it turned into a win. So it was like, at base value, I could have gone 0-3 chop and still
You've been fine.
had the best time because I wouldn't have changed anything that we did. I hang out with the
Exactly.
same homies every tournament. We do the same things. We have a good time. We make the most of it, and that's part of Pokemon. It's not just all about the tournament.
Right. So when I look at your limitless, it looks like you've had mild success throughout the last 3 years. You had Portland with the top 8. You're day twoing almost three regionals a year at
And I'm
least.
only playing 4 months,
Yeah.
so these are all happening very close because the gaps where there's nothing, most
Yes.
likely,
March, May, June.
most of the time, yeah, and they're all see
Yep.
exactly. They're all in the back half of the
March,
year.
April,
In the
June.
beginning of the year, I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm schooling. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I day two every tournament I played
Right.
because I have flopped in tournaments in these things. But most of the time, my success is in the back half because that's when I'm going to all the tournaments.
And like
You
one
know,
thing I noticed different on your limitless than a lot of players that are very successful is that your variety of decks is cool. Like this year, you've day two'd and top 8 with 3 different decks,
yes, with
which
Malamar,
Lounge,
Blounds, and
Tina
and
Tuff.
the and it doesn't show, but because they don't show the 64s. But I went 6-3 at Portland with Zoro Pidgey, which was enough to get points
Oh,
as
see.
well.
So like that whole like a lot of players they put a lot into find a deck and get really good at it, and you're like, I have a team and we've got really good at these decks, which is pretty
Right,
dope.
and there's a cool kind of thing I guess that happens with my team, just how like we built our team. So like for instance, Joe and Hale, both known for doing really well with slow decks. Groudon,
Yeah.
Hale doing really well with Stall and Gardevoir GX. So they're kind of slower, more tempo paced decks, lock decks, things like that. And then there's me and Finn, who really like fast, aggressive decks with a lot of options. Also, Mike kind of fits into this category as well. Getting a top four with Zapdos. Me and Finn also great lovers of Zapdos. So we kind of like complement each other on that. And then Carter likes big combo decks, also kind of like lock decks. So he kind of lumps more in with Joe and Hale because he likes to play Pidgey a lot, likes to play
Right.
complicated decks, but he also likes to play big combo decks, which all of us kind of like, but not as much as Carter. Carter likes decks like Mewtwo, decks like the Tina Chomp, decks like fighting with a bunch of options. So a lot of combo decks is what Carter likes. So we all kind of fill a
Right.
separate role.
That's very dope. Um, so you hit your was 2000 Portland? Was that your first top eight in Masters
In the Masters for regionals, because I
for a
did have a
regional?
top eight in
Yes,
the States,
that's what
which
I
was
mean.
kind of the equivalent at the time.
Yeah, it was kind of. You're right, but
But it was more like they had like 6 or 7 states going on the same day. So it'd be like Florida, Georgia, New
yeah,
York, Illinois, all their states were on the same weekend. So you couldn't do all of them. You had to pick one.
right.
Whereas now with the regionals, everyone can go to everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's almost 500 people there. That's I mean, but when you hit that top eight, is that like because you've been playing? I know you've had success in seniors, but you've been playing a long time,
A long
a
time.
long time,
Absolutely.
and then you get that. Is that like a lift off your shoulders, or are you
Oh,
just super
definitely. And
hungry?
well, so that one specifically was right when before I had got back into school and right after I had dropped out of college the year before and decided that college wasn't for me. So at this time, I was like, Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon. The money's coming in. I
Right.
want to do, there's $5,000 you can win now. I want to try and go harder. Because the
So,
back half of high school, I played mostly casually, played in Nats, played in Florida Regionals, but didn't play in anything else really. And Darkrai year, I didn't play at all. I watched, I kept up with the meta. I went to League to play, but I never played in anything big because of school. So
right.
League was like my fun thing. So once I got that, I was just like, first I was really intrigued with Hoopa. Me and Danny Altavilla came up with a great deck and a great strategy of way to play. And we really, I mean, that was one of the best meta calls I think in a long time, where you could just play a deck that autos like 6 or 7 of the top decks, and a lot of decks just don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just felt good for me and Danny specifically because we like spicy decks that we finally got through with something really out there. Because we were 3 for 3. Three of us played it, and all
Yeah.
three of us landed in 32, 16, top eight.
That's what's up.
And the same thing happened with the Giratina. We went like 7 for 7.
Yeah,
We
you
made
guys
like
had.
$6,500, like 900 CP
Yeah, that's some
or
crazy amount on
700
that.
CP or something stupid. I don't
Right.
know how I don't remember the number, but it was a lot. So it felt like our group is working. Our team is
Yes,
starting to
it's
work.
great. I love seeing like a group of people do well. It's like because like I'm from traditional sports where you have a team, you work together, you win. I came into this and it felt very, especially the teams felt very individuals with the same jerseys, and
Right,
like then you see DGG decide, we're not individual, we're actually friends, and we're actually really good. And then like all last year almost became this whole anonymity of DGG versus the world, and
right.
then everyone's like, you know what, these guys prove something that if you work together, you're really good. And now you see you guys proving it. Like last week, I mean, when you have that many people playing the same deck, you guys work together and you all make day two. Like what you're doing is right.
Right. And that just goes to attest the strength of this deck. And also like in the even in the earlier top eight this year, Finn made top 16 and I made top eight with Blounds. We're the only two guys to play it on our team that were there. We both made day two. He came and tested at my house. He was actually living in my house in Florida for a week. We went to Virginia together, and then went to what was the other one? The Knoxville together.
Right.
So we grinded Pokemon every day and like put the work in and decided we both should stick with this deck. So when we find it's not all the time. It's not every tournament that we find the deck that we all like because Finn is kind of picky. So Finn really likes what he likes. If it's
Right.
It's got the word Stinger in it. Finn will play it. So unfortunately for this tournament, Stinger was in the deck, so he was down for it, and we
Yeah,
both did pretty good.
that's what he was saying on the podcast. He was like, "All right, now I'm all in on this checkmate decks. That's where I'm at." I'm like,
And
"Hey, I'm there too."
right, absolutely.
So you get your first top 8, and then I mean you continue to have mild success, and then you get to NAIC next year, and I like to get results at an international is a little. You got to feel a little better. Like you got the
Right.
regional, and
Yeah,
now
and
you hit.
getting top 16 at Worlds honestly felt bigger to me than
Oh
the
yeah,
top
you
8 because
did get top 16 at Worlds. That is a Worlds.
happened the year.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened the year before. And I like I said, I had lost my win into Robin. It was actually a really favorable matchup for me. And the tournament bracket actually in top 8. If I would have won that match, I would have been in his place, played 2 Rayquazas in a row, which are auto wins, and
Yep.
then would have lost to Malamar in the finals. But I dead drew against Robin, so he was able to beat me. And I was really upset about that. I was so close to top 8 Worlds. I really felt like I had the deck. I fought through day one. So that was
Right.
like my first, like the top 8 regionals was nice because I got the top 8 regionals
Mm-hmm.
and the top 16 worlds in the same season.
Yeah.
So I was like, once I got the top 16 worlds, I was like,
What's
all right,
next?
we're
Right.
we're starting to do it. We're
Like
starting to really
your confidence has to be boosted huge
right,
when something like that
absolutely,
happens. Like
absolutely,
when I got 12th at Salt Lake, and like my level of play just went from I'm just a player to I just beat this player, this player, this player, and I can compete. And like I was just wondering if you have that same once you start getting these results, like your confidence, like that shit boosts crazy, right?
and I think constant confidence is actually an interesting aspect of Pokemon that doesn't get
Huge.
talked a lot because some people will say there's this going statement that I think is very true that if you practice with a deck a lot and you really like it, no matter if the meta is bad and you're confident in it, you still have the potential to do well. And I think that's very true. And I think if a lot more players were a lot more confident going into their tournament, like instead of being like, and this goes back to the trees and the glass half full, instead of thinking, being like, oh, I hope I don't hit my bad matchups. I want to think, I hope I hit my good matchups.
Right.
You know, I want to not be dwelling on the negative thoughts and trying to give myself a morale boost
Right. And even if you
because
hit those bad matchups, like
to move past it.
yes, you want to be in like a mindset of like this guy could dead draw, or I can outplay this person and I could win just being because I know my deck. I know my deck.
Right.
It's not favored, but I don't know how much preparation this guy put in. But I
Right.
know I put in the work, and like I can win this if I play right.
A great quote. I'm not sure if it was Michael Jordan or John Wooden, but it was like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure which one of them it was.
Me
It
neither.
might be Michael Jordan, but I'm sort of leaning towards John Wooden. But
Right.
either way, you have a chance.
Right.
Your opponent could dead draw. Your opponent could make a misstep. Not that you want to hope for these things,
Exactly.
but they're there,
Yes.
and they're a tangible factor in every game.
Yeah.
Your opponent making a misstep, draws, variance. That's just because we're in a card game, and
Yes.
those factors are always there.
Right.
So I will definitely say that the confidence, like getting good results, makes you feel good, obviously, because you're winning money. And it feels like you're not just wasting money going 0-3 drop and everything, which has happened in my career. Being like, do I want to play Pokemon anymore? Is this worth my time and investment?
I think,
And it
I
really
think,
starts. It really starts to show when you get the accomplishments.
yeah, I think that goes through everyone's mind when they like. I lost my point. I was 5-3 going into my last round. I was like, if I win this, I get 40 points, and it wasn't so bad. And I was playing Lucario, and I hit Kevin Baxter, and he's playing Charizard, Reshiram with Volcarona, and Volcarona just turns off all my fucking focus sashes.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, and then like I just get ran over, obviously. So and like he tweets after, he's like, Volcarona is not that good, but it does beat Focus Sash. I was like,
You know what? on Volcarona. Volcarona was a super interesting Pokemon that I actually didn't get any time to put into, but I thought and expanded with Fire Crystal and some type of there's other sniping options that Volcarona actually could have been possible. So it's kind of cool that he went. You said he went 6'3".
Yeah, he ended 6'3". Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
actually super cool.
He said he would cut it, but he's like,
I
I
would be
cut it
thinking about
until this last match. He's like, I don't know now. That's pretty good.
right. I would be thinking more on the lines of a full Volcarona,
Right?
not more on a Reshi's side, maybe in its own thing.
Like,
But I just think
Decidueye was
that
good,
is super
and
cool.
this seems better than Decidueye. So
Right, and I had more support at the time. Forest of Giant Plants being gone, just
Yeah.
we could go down the rabbit hole forever on damaging Pokemon.
right, that's just crazy. But I had a weird conversation with Pablo Meza this weekend. When we were talking VGC and TCG, and like you brought up like it being a card game, like there's variants where you can just dead draw, and we were talking about it, and he's like, I like the way VGC you get to decide your starting 2 Pokemon, and like you know how you're starting the game. Like I put these 2 Pokemon, I know how it is. He's like, but in TCG, I'm praying that my opponent cuts me into 7 good cards, and like he's like, I don't like that mindset is hard. I'm like, you know what, you're right. You're like you build your deck as consistent as you can, but at the end of the day, when you shuffle your deck and you hand it to your opponent, you're just hoping that he cuts it to a starting Pokemon and a playable hand. And like we were talking like, would the game be better if like you could just start, you get to pick your first 6 cards or whatever your starting hand. Like if you could start with the same hand every game, would the game be better, or is that just too broken?
Well, I guess to answer that question, I'm going to start with the whole setup question with him being like, shout out to Pablo. He's a nice guy. I've sat next to him a million times in tournaments. We actually got to play at this regional. But with the starting the 2 Pokemon, and I've been playing a lot of up-to-date VGC. It's super fun. I think this is one of the most skill-intensive VGC formats.
Right.
And I think with the opening Pokemon, that's better, and we take an L on that. But if we flip the scale, we have, because of the internet and how TCG works, we have a better way to determine the meta, whereas the VGC guys, your Pokemon can bring whatever 4 moves it learns out of the 50 it learns. You have no idea what's on that Pokemon. And guess what? The guys who aren't making top 8, they're not posting what was on their Pokemon. There's no site that says this is what number 55th guy played. This Togekiss had this move. Nobody has that. So they're going into these blind mind game metas, which we don't have to worry about mind gaming as much, where they have like this whole other level of intelligence they have to go through of like, my opponent did this the last game at this time. Would he do that again, or would he do something different, which we don't have to worry about? If it's Weezing, they're spreading again. If it's Zork, they're riot speeding again. You know what they're doing. You know what's possible. You don't know when your opponent's going to hit blank attack and crit you and knock you out. You can't expect for that. You can't plan for a crit, but you can plan for a knockout in Pokemon.
Yes.
So that's kind of my counterpoint on that. I think there's a little bit of variance in both. But on the question of would I think it would be all right if everyone picked their opening 6 cards? No, and the reason why is because there would be no skill in Pokemon. The skill would be learning how to, like, there would be one good deck that would be so good. Like, let's say Mewtwo. You open Welder, double energy. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. The Pokemon attacker that you want, like Solgaleo is your random good attacker, Dedenne, and Psychic Energy. And I'm going to open that 6 cards. What deck am I losing to? Nothing. I'm not losing to any deck. That's the problem. So
I don't know.
It takes,
like, what if I could start 6 cards in a different deck that, like, I can smack
What 6 cards? What 6 cards are you? Okay,
I don't know.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Right?
If I'm playing Mewtwo, what 6 cards are in your opening?
Who's going first?
I can't get out of. You're going first.
You're going first?
Yeah. No. You're going. Let's say you're going first.
I'm going first, so I can't.
Yeah.
I can't play the supporter. I'm fucked. Because you got Welder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
You have Welder and Dedenne.
And I'm going to choose, guess what? If I flip the coin, I'm going to choose to go second. Number one,
Yeah.
you're not going to know what deck I'm playing, and I'm going to get to choose my
I
hand.
wonder. I
So
wonder how it goes. Like, how would you be able to pick? Do you have to pick your starting six before you know if you go first or second, or do you get to pick it after? Because that changes everything too.
I think you would probably have to flip. Somebody chooses, and then you pick your 6 cards.
I think. What if you had
If
to
we're
lock
going
in your
down the
6 cards
imaginary-
before?
if
Yeah,
we're
the
going down the
imagine. What if you
imaginary
locked in
hole.
your 6 card before the tournament? Like deck slid, you have to start these 6. They're in different sleeves.
Like in your PTC, like in your thing, you're
In
like,
your deck
this is my
list.
opening hand for the whole
Yes,
tournament.
for the whole tournament. That'd be kind of nuts.
Oh my! I think that, like I said, I think that would give upper hands to the attacking decks for sure. Mill decks wouldn't exist
Yeah, I agree.
anymore. I think it would be too impeccable. But I will say this: if we're going to make imaginary changes,
Yes,
I do have an imaginary change that I would like personally. I would like a 5-card sideboard.
Really?
And I feel like yes. And the reason I would like that is because let's say, let's go back to Drampagard format.
Okay.
I feel like this format is one of the formats in the history that was completely solved.
Yes.
That there was no special things that were going to come out if more tournaments happened. It was
Drampagard.
Drampagarb, Espeon Garb, Greninja,
and I guess Metagross like countered it at one point.
And Foxy Drampa.
Yes.
Best decks, hands down. There were other decks, Decidueye as well.
Yeah.
But best decks, and I think that was pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that I am playing Drampagarb, and in Mirror, I would want an Espeon. But against everything else, I wouldn't want an Espeon. So I beat everything else, and I only take this one loss, this other popular deck. If I could just have 2 of my 5 spots for a 1/1 Espeon that would fit right into my deck, I would be able to have a better chance against the field so that I could have a chance against everything. I wouldn't beat everything, but I would have a chance. Right. Or that maybe, that Decidueye deck had an extra field blower for guard decks. I could put an extra blower in there. Or a Zoroark deck could be Zoroark Gliscopod, and then my 5 cards could be a 2/2 Lycanroc and a fighting. And now I have a Zoro Lycanroc deck.
I think that's the biggest argument against it is when you talk Zoroark. Because Zoroark can just change.
Zoroark's gone.
Yeah. No, it's different. But I'm just saying, like, in the past, you're like, if we had a sideboard, you could play 4 different decks because you have Zoroark plus whatever.
That's why I like the 5 cards, because it kind of limits
what you're
going to do. And it's more going to be for techs. And maybe you're like, all right, well, against some matchups, I'd really like to have an enhanced hammer. That would be cool to have.
Right.
So something like that. And I think that would add an edge of skill for sure, because sideboarding in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very skillful.
Right.
Knowing what the tournament's coming in, that helps with your determining of the meta. And it gives counterplay. So that, let's say you completely destroy your opponent, right? And the matchup's super good. But your opponent ended up having something in their side deck to give them a chance. So now game 2, we have a totally different interaction of what's going to happen, right? So they're going to put their tech in. Maybe they beat me, right? And then now I'm like, oh, man, now they have a tech. Now, this third game, I'm going to have to prepare for the tech. So by the third game, now there's full knowledge between both players. All right, boom. This is what you have for me. This is what I have for you. I thought the matchup was good, but you had something. So now this third game is going to be on the same playing field anyways, because you're going to know their deck, and you'll have a chance instead of just auto losing against something ridiculous.
Yeah, I like
Shocklock. Shocklock's a great example.
Great.
If I could have one of my 5 slots as an escape room, then I know, I'm playing in Shocklock, I'll lose game 1, I'll put my rope in there.
Yeah, I'll just scoop.
I have a chance now.
Scoop, let's go to game 2.
Right. Exactly.
I like it. I like the idea because when you look at like decks like Shocklock wouldn't exist because of shit like that. Which, in my opinion, Shocklock is not a fucking worthy deck.
Or
what?
Let's say Shocklock puts Omastar in their deck, and they make their bench just Omastar and double Raichu.
Right.
Then what are you doing? Then your escape rope does not shit, and I'm locking you. And I'm AZing my other Pokemon and setting up. But there's counterplay. There's things you can do.
Yes, you can. I like the theory.
I think it would be interesting.
I do too, and I think with how much attention the VGC is getting, and like we're getting the aftershock of all that attention.
Right.
There's potential for a lot of change to come. I think it's dope.
But then I
But
guess back to like the track of the career. Then the top 8 NAIC
right,
was like when I knew that I was going to take this year more seriously. I was going to be like, I'm going to take the time. I have the time. I've got back to my full year, first year of college, so I'm back into the swing of things. I know what I'm doing. I know how to manage my time. I think that if I just do Pokemon and I focus on and I get school done and I have good grades, that I can continue to play. And after getting top 8 was when I was just like, all right, this year we're gonna try and push for top 16.
right. I remember NAIC. Peter Kiko walks up to me. He's like, "Did you see the fucking Stunfisk deck?" I was like, "No." He's like, "That shit's winning." I'm telling you, it's winning. It's the most
Shout out to
busted thing
Kiko.
I've ever seen. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And then I see you up in top 8. Like the whole story of NIC turned into, can this Stunfisk deck do it? It was like we
Right,
fucking
right,
made
right.
it. Yeah, that was fucking dope. I love
I
seeing
actually
that
ended
shit.
up I played against Kika round 9 on
That
day
must have
one.
been when he told me. After
He
that,
told me during the game he was because me and him have always been cheeky. Like it's not like we message each other, but at tournaments we always say what's up to each other. We always hang out. Every time he's had a money match at Nats, I've been there to watch it. So we've drank together. So he's a good guy. He's a decent friend of mine. And we were playing, and he was like, "I want you to know that this deck is broken, and you're gonna win." And I
yes,
did.
yes.
I did a super sweet play that only me and Frank would know because we were the ones playing the deck. But against Stall, you can marsh out of them once, right?
Yeah,
And then you power up your Spiritombs with the damage. And then you use Damage Mover to knock out your Marshadow and then re-stretcher it back and Marshadow them
come
again.
again.
So you keep Marshadow, you can Marshadow them up to twice while you're taking knockouts. I actually ended up taking a 2-shot on his Melmetal because you can't heal and remove my energy. So you can do one or
Right.
the other. So I was able to keep slamming with damage and Marshadow and boom, knockout,
That's
knockout, knockout.
hilarious, actually.
Yeah, so I ended up beating him 2-0. So there was the deck really, really did well. Marshadow actually got him game 1. I didn't even have to Marshadow the second time. Game 2 I did, but game 1 he got 4 Pokemon, and I was just like, kill your Hoopa, kill your Lugia GX, kill your Melmetal, kill your Hoopa.
It's so
So
good.
it was,
I
yeah, it was.
that
I love that deck. And now, shout out to new DC Energy, baby
I
Stunfisk,
did
we
just see
back.
that. I just see
We
that. I'm
back.
like, that's not bad. We can. There's so much potential coming out with the new set and shit, which is kind of dope. Um, so you've been playing how what 2000? What'd you say? 2007,
2007, 2008 season is when I first found when
right?
specifically when Claydol came out. Great Encounters was my first set.
And then you get that regional win this weekend. Like how much? Like how does that? How does that feel? Like it's got to be like a huge relief off your shoulder because there's so many people that have played so long that don't have glass. Like they
Right,
don't have anything. They get top
right.
eights. They can't get over that hump into a top 4. And it's like, and then I mean you've had success, but this regional win's got to be big, right?
Oh my goodness, it was huge. I mean, obviously the first thing I did was because I didn't this. You were. I don't know if you were at the regional. I think you
I
were.
was there,
And
but I left. I had to catch my flight when you were going in the finals. I was like,
right,
fuck.
the service was super bad
Yep.
underneath, so you had to go up to call, and there was basically no time between top 4 and finals. So I usually call my grandma like at the end of day 1, at the end of day 2, and let her know like how she's or how I'm
I'm
doing,
doing.
and she actually understands Pokemon talk, knows what it means to
That's what's
mulligan,
up.
knows what it means to dead draw because she's been around it so long. So I can actually explain what's happening. And so after top 8, I told her I won, and then I didn't talk to her for like 3 hours because of how it all
Dude,
went down. And so I called her and I was like, guess who's the 2020 Dallas Regional Champion? She was literally screaming, crying
that's
on the phone.
awesome.
Like, my grandparents have really, they've always supported me, but they've always, they've never wanted anything more than for me to win, finally, to get a win. And
Right.
$5,000 is, life
It
changing
is.
for some people. And it's life changing for me. I'm a college student. I don't have a job.
Right.
All I do is coach. All I do is play Pokemon. I'm pretty well with my money. I save my money. I work when I can over the summer, but most of the time, this money is going to mean a lot to me. It definitely meant a lot to my grandma. I actually owed her a little bit of money. I had a little bit of an outstanding loan, so I was able to pay
That's
back my
great.
grandmother, which is always nice. So yeah, man, it was amazing, and it just shows that if you put in the time, if you test, and one of the people that I not only look up to their success, but also look up to their regiment is the Limitless guys, because they put in the hours and the
Mm-hmm.
toward with I test 30 to 40 hours a week, boom.
Yep.
And then, we tested before Stunfisk, we tested 10 hours a day, every day for the week up to Nats, me and Frank. And then for this regional, 2 weeks, at least 5 to 6 hours a day, every day,
It's
grinding games with whatever deck it might be. And that work really, really, really shows.
right.
And if you put in the time, because I wasn't putting in the time before, I was putting in enough time to get a deck going, but not enough to know everything.
Right.
Not enough. I wasn't doing as much as I could have been doing. I was doing enough for what I thought was good enough. And now I know what's good enough
Right.
and
Because
how much work you need to put in.
like even when you said about the whole let loose, kill your let loose, do it again. Like if you didn't test that, like
You would
do
have
you see
never
that
known
coming? No, you don't even though it's right there in front of you. You
Like, when are you going to be like, yeah, I'm going to damage mover my spear
yes,
tube to make it less powerful to kill a Marsh Shadow to get it back? When
yes,
are you going to think about that?
exactly. Which that just tells you like when you put in that work, it's insane. Like it's the little things. Like anyone can pick up a deck off Limitless and have mediocre success, but when you get to a situation just like that, like if you don't put in the work, you're not going to see those plays. And like we had Pedro Torres on it, and he's talking. His number one partner is Tord, and they're very consistent. And like just like you said, you're working with Frank every day, boom, 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 and here's the success. And if you look at Pedro's Limitless, there's nothing but success because he puts in the work. And like everyone can say what you want. It's like, oh, he's talented. At the end of the day, he does things that most players don't. And
Absolutely.
and just to say he's winning because he's talented, that's shit.
That's not true.
No.
He's winning because he works hard. He's winning because he puts time into the game. He's winning because he has obviously he's extremely smart. We can sit here and say how smart Tord is all the time, but more oftentimes than not, I think this goes for all players, and I'm not trying to downplay Tord at all or any player, but more oftentimes than not, you have a base knowledge, but that testing, those situations come up, whatever weird situation comes up, and then that situation comes to fruition in a game. That's the difference between you winning and losing, is knowing what to do in that exact moment. So if you've played this many games and you go, well, this game looks a lot like this game, and this is how it ended for this matchup. These are the things I should do, and these are the things that made me win.
It's like
it's not all about drawing the stones, even though you got to.
Yeah, sometimes you draw the stones. It is what it is, but those hard hours of those little things, that's how you win the tournament. I always tell people, I'm like, you don't get me wrong, you go into a tournament and you want to have high ratios of being very good against the meta. But at the end of the day, you could hit three non-meta decks and you could just go home. It doesn't matter how good your deck is.
Right.
But when you do hit that bad matchup, and you're able to beat that bad matchup, that's what projects you into day two. You're like,
right.
I hit my worst matchup and I won because I played it so many times and I understand the matchup. And this guy, who Joe Blow is, found the dark deck and just played it because it's a great deck. But you outbeat him because you put in the work. I think it's really cool because like a lot of people that we have on here, their limit list is fucking stacked of huge accomplishments, and it's really cool to look at yours and go, this guy's been playing a long time, and like he found success. It wasn't like, oh, first place isn't good enough for me anymore because I just always am good. It's I put in the work now and I found success, and I think a lot of people that aren't so successful at this game can look at you and go, you know what? At the end of the day, if I keep working, there's a fucking chance. Like, I can do this. And I think that's great. Like you've had really good success, mild success, your whole thing, and then you get that regional win this year, and it's like, you know what? It's very motivating towards players that you've turned your whole career around by going, you know what, I'm gonna hook up with these six good players. I've done well in the past, but now you can see I'm top 8 at Collinsville, and now I'm first. And it's because you're putting in this work, and I think that's really awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you. Another big thing is like it's mostly a team win for me because I put a lot of trust in my teammates. You can't do the legwork by yourself. You can't test every matchup by yourself. There's just physically not enough time, especially for all of us who, Hale's at Caltech, one of the best freaking schools in the whole nation.
Right.
Finn's in school. I'm in school. Mike has a full-time job. Carter has a full-time job. We all have things going on that are not Pokemon. We're not 14 anymore in high school playing Pokemon for fun. We're really
Right.
we're really trying to do it big. And also, shout out! I just now noticed you have Cutter Tap in the back of the side of your scoop. That's busted. I really messed with that. But I also give a lot. I also trust my team. If Finn tells me a deck is good and it's better than my deck, and we should go with this, and he pokes the holes through my deck and he shows me the deck, and I'm not just gonna my ego. I'm not gonna let my ego bleed for everybody else, or anybody's ego on this team. All of us. Carter's the only one on our team that does not have a regional top 8, and he only had one his first competitive year last year, and then Mike, it's his second competitive year. Last year he made worlds on his first, and then this is his second. He already has he had a top 8 last year, or top 4, excuse me, his first big competitive season, and 2 day 2s this season already. So it's like everybody is really getting there,
Right.
like as a group. It's not just my success, it's Finn's success, it's Carter's success, it's Mike's success, it's Hale's success. Hale has a top 4 at the Open, a second at a regional, a top 8 at a regional, and he doesn't play at all. He's top 8'd. He's top 8'd. I'm pretty sure 3 out of 4 tournaments that he's played in.
That's insane.
3 for 4.
And yeah, I think the more media comes out, the more Pokemon starts back in the game, you'll see that these players get the recognition they deserve, and with the way teams are coming together, it's not just a money grab anymore. And I think a lot of people are shying away from these stupid money grabs because you don't get what you really want, which is to win. You get a group of people that, and I've taken a lot of flack from this, and I stand by it, like ARGs and what all these Guardian Gaming and whatever. They're not teams. I don't care what you say. Like, they're a bunch of people with fucking jerseys on that are the same. Like, they don't work together. It is what it is. But
that speaks to like the Grant Manley being a part of the gang now, and then no shit on Grant. I think Grant's a great guy, and they have a great testing group, and they're obviously doing great work. Right. But Grant didn't fit in with those group of guys. Grant wasn't testing with them anyways.
Yeah,
exactly. They all tested on their own. Pram wasn't testing with ARG. Pram was testing with DD.
Exactly. That's what I used to say all the time. I'm like, you and Pram wear the same jersey, but Pram won't even talk to you about.
Pram aren't on the same team.
Yeah, he won't even tell you what deck he's playing. So like,
you guys are sponsored.
Yeah,
you're sponsored players.
That's what.
You're not a team.
That's what I said a lot, and like a lot of people came with backlash on me saying that I shouldn't say shit like that, and that we are.
Well, I mean, they are. They're a sponsored team. They're ARG sponsored team.
That's what I said.
But you're not a real team. Facts are, if you knew them, and I guarantee I would. 85 to 90% guarantee that the people that are giving you flack are people that actually have never had a conversation with Grant or Jose or Pram, or even talk to these guys about who they test with, who they prefer, who they hang out with, who are their friends, stuff like that.
Me and Royal got into it, but I mean, me and Royal are cool, but over that we got into it where he was saying that his teammates were ARG and his testing group is Xander and them, and I'm like, in my head, your team is Xander. You if you're gonna sit there and work with Xander on a deck for hours,
and Xander's on 6 prizes on a different team.
Yeah, I'm like, if you're gonna sit there and that's your team, like at the end of the day, Xander's your teammate, and he's like, no, Xander's my friend. I'm like, you can be friends and teammates. I promise you. You can. And he's like, I don't want to downgrade him like that. I'm like, it's not a downgrade.
That's not a downgrade at all. Like, me and Finn have been friends for 5 years. We are friends, but he's my teammate.
Right.
regardless
Exactly.
if we're not friends or we're not teammates, both are going to stand the same. I think they're kind of one and the same. And that kind of goes back to the thing we were talking about in the beginning was like teams that are formed unorganically and only through money are paper thin
Yes.
because when the bag's not there, you won't be.
Mm-hmm.
But when your team is a basis of friends, you're not going to stab your friend in the back for a bigger bag
Right.
most of the time.
That's
I'm
what
not going to say I'm not
that.
going to sit here and say that if DDG was like, we're going to pay you $1,000, I would think about it, but more than likely, I'd say I kind of like where I'm at. You know,
Yeah. Like I was talking to Chum, and I told Chum if he ever decides he wants to do this team thing again, I would like we would take one player. We would take someone like Xander and go, all right, we want 4 players on this team, but I want you to handpick the 4 players. Like you pick one. I don't care if it's Xander and his cousin from fucking wherever. I don't
right,
like no name. I'd rather have 4 players that are gonna sit here and test and work together that I'm paying than 4 top players that don't even talk to each other that are just there because I'm paying them. Like I
right.
want my team to be successful
The bag will get bigger
together.
somewhere else.
Exactly.
There'll be a better offer. There'll be another teammate trying to
Mm-hmm.
sway you, trying to say, "Hey, you're really good. I want you on my team." Blah blah. Leave
Exactly.
this team.
But I
It's
think
happened.
we're
It's
we're in
happened
such
time
a
and time again.
I think we're in that era of like fuck these sponsorships are not big enough for you to really care. And the success that Cutter Tap and DDG and the lab are all having right now really shows that the sponsorship teams are bullshit and that you should find a good testing group and work together. And
I I I 100% agree. All besides the fact that without even though I'm not the biggest fan of pro play at all, and
right,
I've openly said that, and I'm not the biggest fan of my last 2 sponsorship things, even though they were nice, they were not true, and there was a lot of dishonesty involved. And I'm not going to say who that has to deal with. From the last 2 have
yes,
been really sore for me because it hurt my feelings. I'm putting myself out there for someone who said they believed in me, and then they're not coming through with what they promised. And I can tell you this: every time Finn's promised me something for an article, or promised me some testing, or promised me that a deck worked, or promised me that we're going to go all have lunch, everyone's going to show up. Those
right,
sponsorships aren't going to show up for you like that
no,
unless you find something organic. That there might be like, all right, the biggest example I have for this of something that's organic and also as a team is kind of Full Grip, the Mahone, Champagne, JW
yes,
Crewall. They were all friends before, and they all got involved with something that they with someone that they approved of and that supported them, and that works for them. And that's how sponsorship
right,
should be. It should be. It should start with something organic, whether it's
right,
the player group's organic, the player plus the store is organic. Something's
yeah,
got to be there. Like I said, I feel like, and this is all an opinion, obviously, but
yes,
I feel like it's paper thin, and the bag will get too heavy, and someone else
right.
will want to take the load and
Mm-hmm.
move on.
And as soon as because that's we can be completely fair here. There's not a lot of money in sponsoring people. Like there's not a lot
No,
of comeback. Like as soon as a company realizes that they're not really getting much out of what they're putting in, they don't care anymore. They just move on. And like you see
right.
that. And I think at the end of the day, right now, the best sponsorships are stores. Like when you if you're not a store, like it's almost not worth it because
And I think
nothing either.
the most constant thing with sponsorships is that they are going to move on. That's the most
Yes.
constant thing. They
Mm-hmm.
all move on. This is a
They
big
all do.
trend, and I don't think this is like even an undisputable. It's an undisputable fact at this point that a team gets set up, something is going to happen because of the catalyst that's being
Mm-hmm.
built in between money, players, relationships, all of these type of things. When money and personal relationships get involved, there's always a
Yep.
catalyst for a shutdown or a failure
Yeah.
or a clean out or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Something like this with what I have or what DDG has. That's the only way that's breaking is personal. It's got nothing to do with money, and
Correct.
money's a lot worse of a problem to have with someone than a personal qualm or quarrel, if you will.
Right. And like I think The only way a sponsor team, like what DGG had, um, was very rare and it was great. And I think the only way a sponsor team has that type of success now is if they go to Finn and go, hey, I want you to be under, you and your team to be under this brand, and we're going to give you X.
We tried that. That was one of the
See?
failed ones that just happened recently, and you know, it's upsetting. I wanted it to work. It seemed really too good. It like was a too good to be
Be
true
true.
moment. They told me that they believed in me and that they want to see me succeed, and they see that they watched us put in the work. And you know, unfortunately, it wasn't profitable enough for them. And I understand because Pokemon is not profitable enough for
Anybody right now.
anybody. So
Yeah.
it's not like they screwed me. It's more like
Realized.
they realized that this is not going to work out,
Yeah. And I
and
think
that's fine. You
in
know,
time and growth, when the game grows, because at this time, we see growth. Like Pokemon's starting to take control of things. And like I've said it from the beginning, the only way this game grows is if Pokemon decides to grow this game. There's no one person or one YouTube channel or something that's gonna go, all right, now we all can make money. Pokemon's gotta go, okay, now we all can make
we all
money.
can make money,
Yes. And once they decide that, which right now they're pushing VGC very hard, and
and I love that.
which is
That's
which is
amazing.
great. I think at the end of the day, if you do look at the Twitch numbers, it wasn't even close. With the VGC had like 30K, and when TCG went on, it went down to like 5. And
Yeah,
it
man.
kind of sucked. I wish they would have done 2 streams so it didn't look
Take
so
away
bad.
it didn't take away from VGC and didn't depromote
Yes,
TCG all at the same time.
exactly.
But I mean, I can also see their point of view is like if we're going for a more Pokemon heavy everything, you want the normal person, not the guy who's only interested in VGC, not the
Right.
guy who's only interested in TCG, but the guy who has no idea about either of them. We want him to stay, so we want kind of a change of pace. So I think that was a cool move and a cool move on them, and definitely
And it was their.
some
I mean, it wasn't their first time,
differentiality.
but I think it was their. It was like the first time they decided to take over a regional stream, and I think it only gets better.
Absolutely. And I'm super stoked that Pokemon has decided to get in the driving seat of doing the regionals. Like they want to be held accountable for how the event looks. They don't want, you know,
Yes.
not hating on other streams because I loved Critical Hit. I
Right.
loved what was the other one? Battle Factory.
Mhm.
All of them great avenues,
It
and
was great.
thank God that they were
We
able to
needed
pick it
them,
up.
to be
But now
honest.
that Pokemon wants to take the accountability to give that great technology and those cameras and the stream team and the interviewers and the whole nine that everybody else can't produce because they don't have Pokemon's pockets.
Yep,
You know,
it's money.
Pokemon's pockets are fat. So for them to do that is amazing and shows that they're wanting to put more into this and they can see that it has potential.
Yeah, that's dope. Before we wrap this all up, I usually I ask one question, and at the end of the day, like what's your end goal here? Is world champion? I'm retiring. Am I playing till I'm 80? Or what's going on here? What's your end goal here?
I want to be world champion for sure.
Right.
That I think that if anybody has a goal, even if it's to start at a regional champion, sure. Then what after that?
Yeah.
You don't want to get complacent. I want to be a national champion. I want to be a world champion. I want to be. I love Pokemon. I've spent so much time on Pokemon. I've done my whole life. I've structured my life around Pokemon
Right.
growing up, and I wouldn't want to not try and go for these goals. About playing till I'm 80, you know, I'm in college. I'm going to be in college for like 3 more years, 4 more years. Might do a master's degree, so I might have some more college time. But when I get into my work, I want to be an endangered animal conservationist. So I want to do conservation work and research work.
That's dope.
So those type of things take lifelong
Commitments.
dedication to your study, whatever you're studying or whatever you're trying to prevent from happening, especially if you're going into the field of environmental science. So, you know, when it comes to my work, I'm definitely going to be more focused on that. And obviously, I plan on having a family and kids down the road. So, and I want to share my love of Pokemon with my children, of course. But, you know, I would say you can count me in for the next 3, 4, 5 years for sure. But, you know, once real life stuff comes in, like I'm going to close the book on it, just like everybody else does. You grow up,
So
you have things you want to do with your life. I have an impression I want to leave on the world as far as, with my job, wanting to be a research
yeah,
scientist and a
that's dope.
conservationist. That's something I want to leave my print on the world. Something my great grandmother told me. I'm sure a lot of parents and grandparents have told their kids this, but you want to leave the world a better place than you found it, and that's really resonated with me as far as like my love of animals and stuff like that. So Pokemon definitely holds a big part in my heart, and you'll definitely see me for the next couple of years competing. And who knows, my success might get so good that there's no reason to stop playing, and maybe there's some
Exactly.
universe where Pokemon makes more money, and it's like League where you can afford to be a League player all
Yeah,
year long. No, who knows what the future holds? But for
exactly.
for right now, my mind's on school, my mind's on Pokemon, and I'm trying to ride the high and trying to do justice and hopefully keep doing well at Pokemon for sure.
That's what's up, dude. I think you got a good mindset. A lot of a lot of people. You're in school. You have goals, which is great, and you get a lot of people that get in this stuck area of like, what am I gonna do? I'm just playing Pokemon, but it seems like you got your shit together. You got ideas
I
and
know it looks like that. It looks like that, but let me tell you, it took me falling on my ass.
hey,
A lot of people don't know, but
yeah,
I had been on probation. I had been arrested before. I
okay,
had a I had a small slip up in my grow. Well, not a small slip up, a pretty big slip
had
up
a
in
big
my
slip.
life that dropping out of college, getting back into college. I've gained an appreciation for what life can take away from you, and I've kind of learned that if you want to do good things in this world or in this life, you got to put your best foot forward. You got to be determined. You got to be dedicated. You got to put the work in, no matter what you do, whether it's in college or in Pokemon or
Uh-huh.
in anything in life. And it took me being on rock bottom to learn that. So, a lot of other people will have learned that without that, and I'm envious of them. And I'm gonna keep trying to put the work in. And
Right.
I wasn't the same person I was. So I know it sounds like I got it together, but it took a lot of following to start climbing.
But that's great. Like it kind of, if you look at your Pokemon career, like you're just building, and I think it's great that you have that. You start from here, and you just slowly make your way, and you're finding success. And when I talk to you right now, I feel your energy as like you have a plan. I'm in college. I'm getting my stuff together, and I mean, I really like where your head's at right now, and I really appreciate you coming on. I think a lot of people can take from this podcast more than a lot of my podcasts, where you just have these superstars that are living this. I mean, obviously everyone has their troubles, and they get better at the game, but to see you come from playing for so long and doing so well, and then hearing that you've had your lowest lows, and you're building yourself up, and you're in school and stuff. It's a really good story, and I'm glad to have you here, man. Thanks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And like I said, it's not something I usually share with a lot of people, but it's important because I can kind of attribute some of my not only my Pokemon success to playing Pokemon, but to me, like learning about other things, like learning how to have a stable friendship, learning how to have accountability, responsibility, learning to keep yourself accountable. Things that my parents were trying to teach me when I was a kid, or my
Right.
grandparents were trying to teach me that I wasn't picking up because I was just like, I'm going to do what I want. So it's like, I really have a new, and just in this last year or two, just back, last year, like I said, I started college back like just in this last year or two, I'm really starting to get it. Like, this is what you need to do to be good or to do right. This is what you need to do. And if you do that, good things will happen, and good things are happening.
That's what's up, man. Um, Before we wrap it up, do you have any shout outs or anything you wanna shout out?
Oh,
Where can people
absolutely. So,
find you?
yeah, exactly. Well, I don't have Twitter, and everyone's telling me to get on Twitter,
You
man.
should get
But
on Twitter.
it's like I'm not a big social media person. Facebook is like already so much for me. Like
Right.
like I said, I have anxiety, so one of the social media is definitely one of those things. But you might see a Twitter in the near
In the
future.
future.
But you can find me on Facebook at Hunter Butler. Shout out to my team: Cutter Tap, Finn Lynch, Hale Overnight, Carter Barsh, Mike Morton, Joe Sanchez. Great group of guys. Go check our website at Cutter Tap. We all offer coaching. So through a subscription, you're able to unlock coaching, our testing videos that we post. So we sometimes test matchups and post the videos with commentary, and then we have weekly articles by all of us. I do have an article coming out for the Garchomp and Giratina deck with some Sword and Shield stuff in it, so it's going to be a bit longer. I'm taking a little more time on it, so shout out to them. Shout out to Team Gas, Frank Persick, Luke River Morsa, Tate Whitesell, Kieran Wagner, Nick Robinson, Lei Bui. They did a good amount of work helping us test this deck. Also, they're doing their own thing. Shout out to Celio's Network and PTCG Stats, both really good really good resource, as well as Limitless. Shout out to them. They're a great group of guys. You should support them for sure. And then shout out to you for having me. And
Anytime,
shout
man.
out to Pokemon for allowing me to make all my friends and get this money.
That's what's up, dude. Well, thanks for coming on. But for now, we're going to scoop it up.